Hello, my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. There is a lot of talk about parasites and parasites being the true problem in some of the tumor growths like cancers, which I have basically debunked through other videos and articles. But lately I was pressured a little bit into talking about a tapeworm infestation and concerns how difficult it is to get a tapeworm out and what problem it causes and how dangerous it is. So I decided to make a video on this topic. Now, tapeworm is a parasite that grows and lives in intestine. It hosts itself in the small intestine, but since it is very long, it can cover all the way and go to the big intestine. And it consists of head, and then has very short body, and basically starts going into particles. Okay, and the whole body is basically like a Lego blocks hooked one to another. Now, these particles, inside of them, there are eggs of tapeworm. Now, the motion of intestines, it's linear. So when something is in there, it drags it along, like stringing, like putting, let's say, elastic into a pants through a loop. So you keep rolling, grabbing, pulling, pushing, grabbing, pulling. Well, this is basically how intestines work. They go and just push in one direction, from small intestine to large intestine and out, from stomach to rectum, in that direction. So that's how it goes. That's how this is the peristaltic way of our intestines. So normally, as the eggs in tapeworm become fully grown, one or more segments will break off from the pool of intestine, and it will come out with excrement. And then this pollutes the area where excrement is. The fractures can break and eggs can spill out. And they can survive quite a long time because they encapsulate themselves. So the area could be contagious for a while. Now, when we are talking about health issues caused by tapeworm, well, there are then the two different areas, because tapeworm has intermediary phase. You cannot eat one of the eggs of tapeworm and be infected, have a tapeworm growing in you, because the egg is going to be absorbed into a bloodstream and it is going to end up in the muscles. And wherever it goes, where it gets locked in, it creates a cyst. And in this cyst, it mutates and actually develops in a miniature tapeworm. Now, the cyst is not going to break in a body and then the tapeworm end up in an intestine. What actually has to happen that you are eaten by animal, and then through digestion, this tapeworm becomes liberated, and as it finds itself in an intestine, it is going to hook on it and start growing there. So there are two phases. So when we talk about being affected with tapeworm, we can be affected with a cyst and actually develop tapeworm in our intestine, or we can be infected by eggs and actually start developing cysts in the muscles. Now, of course, treatment is going to be different. Although, treatment known to doctors, they usually take a poison, in this case, albendazole, and administer it. Now, this is poison that body rejects, and it can make you nauseous, it can inflame your liver, but it is going to kill the cyst. Now, I am more about self-healing and not about poisoning. Unfortunately, if you already have a cyst, to get them out of the body natural way, well, you have to take medicinal remedy. So in this case, I'm more about prevention. Prevention or dealing with already tapeworm in its adult form that is inside of your intestine. So number one, as soon as you put tapeworm and infestation, number one is going to be warning. Don't eat undercooked meat, because this is how you get tapeworms. Yes, this is how you can get tapeworm, not tapeworm cysts. Okay, that's a difference. Because you can be carrier, but you can also be a vector. So can be pig, so can be cow. Okay, they are different tapeworms, and tapeworm from a cow very seldom goes into human, other than maybe as a cyst. But tapeworm of pigs and dogs, yeah, it can easily, we can be vectors and we can be carriers. So if you want to eat meat and undercooked raw meat, and you want to make sure that you don't get infected with cysts, then you should freeze the meat down like 20 degrees Celsius below zero for a week. It is going to kill already developed tapeworm in a cyst, and then it's harmless. Now, when we are talking about general transmission, well, this is coming from the eggs of tapeworm more than cysts. Now, these eggs, where are they going to be mostly? You don't get them from eating meat. You get them actually from eating salads, because they used to spray manure over the vegetables for nutrients. And then if you don't wash vegetables well, your salad, then easily you can swallow the egg. Now, in general, eggs of animals, they are made of cholesterol, proteins, and fat. So naturally, if you eat correctly, your strong stomach acid is going to dissolve them, turn them into amino acids and fatty acids, and those eggs become your food. The problem is wrong diet. When you start including large salads to your food, because salad is going to destimulate production of acid, because you don't need to produce acid when you are eating vegetable. So your body doesn't produce enough acid. Plus, the vegetable, being alkaline, is going to neutralize a little bit the acid. So it will change the pH, making it less acidic, and not able to destroy the protein or the cholesterol that is surrounding the egg of the parasite. So eating correctly is very important. And if you are already eating incorrectly, then make sure you really wash salads. Nobody remember, as soon as you are talking about parasites, the whole attention is meat, 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 meat. Actually, the problem is vegetable, vegetable, vegetable. That's where the problem is. Salads, raw vegetable, not washed enough. Now, if you have already tapeworm in your intestine growing, it can really be large. It doesn't really present many problems, unless it's a very strong infestation, when you have multiple of them, because they fill the intestine. They irritate it. You may have inflammation, which reduces absorption, which causes diarrhea. So you may feel bad, you may feel weak, diarrhea, out of power, because they absorb a lot of nutrients as well. But it's mostly the inflammation that is bothersome here. How do you get this parasite out? Yeah, you can use benzazole again and poison yourself, but there is a much easier way. Simply by following Cellulose protocol, the parasite, the tapeworm, is going to come out of your body. Now, how does that work? Well, tapeworm bites into intestine to be able to hold its position, so it doesn't slide with peristaltic wave. So it doesn't slide with the movement of the intestine, because it will be pushed out. So it bites into the intestine and holds itself there. So this way, the movement is not going to pull them. Only already the ripe eggs towards the end of its body start breaking off and coming out, and this is how you infest other animals. So what is very useful during the Cellulose protocol, if one is using Beck electrifier, blood electrifier, Beck pulsar, because when you electrify the body with that energy, there are many pulsars. There is a Hulda-Clark zapper, but this is low voltage. It does not do the job. It's skin, basically. But Bob Beck's pulsar works on 30 volts, because by Beck's calculation, you need voltage of 30 volts to penetrate through isolation of the skin and the blood vessel, so the current is shot directly into the blood. And when this happens, through magnetic oscillating action, it magnetizes the iron inside of a red blood cell, and your red blood cells become actually electromagnets, magnets that go through the body, and through induction, they are stimulating the tissue, blood vessels, and tissue, or wherever red blood cells pass. So once when you put the pulsar, Beck pulsar, on your wrist, and you start energizing your blood. Well, your whole body becomes a battery. Once my wife kissed me when I was pulsating, and she jumped because she got electrocuted. When she touches me, it's not strong enough current, but wet kiss, through liquid, through plasma, through ionized liquid, the electrical charge shoots across. And so what happens with parasite like tapeworm when it bites into the intestine and it gets electrocuted? Well, the shock is too strong, so he lets go. And you are pulsating, let's say, 1 hour. And in 1 hour, the waves are pulling, and the parasite, tapeworm, is going to be pulled closer to anus, maybe 20 centimeters. Maybe more, maybe less. It all depends how much junk is there in the intestine, how constipated one is. Okay, all this depends on the movement. Now, the good thing is with Self-Healers protocol, you're encouraged to achieve diarrhea and to maintain diarrhea, which means your intestines are clean. And the parasite will move much more every time you use the pulsar. And I have multiple people commenting or calling me surprised. Oh, I don't know what happened. I saw it. I went to the bathroom, and when I got up, there's this huge thing. And they took a picture, and yeah, it's a tapeworm, whole tapeworm. Because eventually, it will come low enough that the final pulsation, when you have it, will basically eliminate the whole parasite. So, no need to poison the body. Now, when we are infected, when we have this parasite growing in us, well, we have to be careful with our hands also. You go to bathrooms, well, there's a possibility you get egg on, and then you eat something and pop, it goes in. Well, in this case, you become vector. It's not another parasite growing in your intestine to make, to develop a parasite, but you may start developing cysts through your own contamination. So when we are diagnosed that we have tapeworm, you have to be careful, wash your hands, and wash everything before you put in the mouth. And you have to get this parasite out of your intestine. And as I have explained, it's very easily done following the Self-Healers protocol without need of poisoning. If you do not want to use the self-healing mechanism, then yeah, you can go to doctor and let him give you a medicinal remedy to poison it and poison you a little bit during the process until you get this parasite out. And you can get it out. So it's not such a big deal, but it is not the meat that we should worry about. It's actually the salad and hygiene in general in infested areas. Now, this parasite is not really common anymore, especially not in a city, unless you have contaminated meat or contaminated lettuce or vegetables. And most likely is the vegetable going to be the one that is going to be the cause of you developing not a cyst, but developing the parasite in your intestine. Now, animals in a slaughterhouse, there is always veterinarian checking out the meat for cysts. And if animal shows a cyst, then immediately the whole animal is being discarded. It goes into production for some other stuff, or not to be sold in the market, depending what the procedures are in certain areas. So the possibility that you are going to get meat infested with cysts, it's small. But then again, if you want to make sure, because you are going to eat the meat raw, then freeze it. Matter of fact, today you can hardly get a fresh meat anywhere, because even slaughterhouse, when they kill the animal, they clean it up, they chop it up, and it goes into freezers, and it is being delivered frozen because it extends the shelf life, gives more flexibility. So there is really a minor opportunity or danger of us to get the cysts from infected meat. But again, if you want to make sure, all you have to do is when you have the meat, freeze it, leave it in the freezer for 7 days. And after that, you can throw it and use it. And there is no way you will develop trachea or tapeworm in your intestine. In general, we have to have good acid production in the stomach. And when we eat correctly, the pH of hydrochloric acid in the stomach, it's between 2 and 3. 7 is neutral. So 2 or 3, it's very acidic. Okay, you put this on your skin, you burn the skin. It takes it apart. So you take the cyst. Well, if it goes in this acid, it turns into soup. It turns into liquid of amino and fatty acids. There's no way it can survive. So you have to eat incorrectly to be affected by it in the first place. Because if it would be so easy to contract parasites, then we would not exist anymore. Because there's millions of eggs that come out from one parasite. So everybody would be infected. And everybody would be sick and dead. Well, this is not the case. Very few people actually become affected by it. And why? Because their bodies are weak. They produce weak acids. They eat incorrectly, and this is the reason. Or they're under stress, which is another reason. You lower electromagnetic potential of your body. You lower the voltage. And then nothing works correctly. And parasites are there to take care of the weak and not worth living, not the strong. They don't affect the strong. So if you have any problem of this, well, you better go and heal yourself by cleansing, hydrating and cleansing yourself, because the body is programmed to maintain health. And it does it through cleansing all the toxic material that comes into the body or that can be a byproduct of cellular life. So it takes it out. And for this, it needs plasma. And to make plasma, it needs water and it needs salt. So whenever you hear, and I have it almost daily, somebody comes, Darko, yeah, I would like to do it, but my doctor told me that, I'm young, and if I have too much salt, I'm going to start having hypertension and I'm going to have kidney problems. But people listen to this garbage soyence because of garbage doctors that are not waking up. Yeah, garbage doctor. Every doctor that says that salt, real salt, not talking about table salt is purposely made toxic. But real salt, which is even mined salt that was not being processed or poisoned with iodine and anti-caking substances, but preferably fresh sea salt, nothing is healthier than that, because we need minerals. More than vitamins, more than anything else, we need minerals for a variety of actions of the body. Remember Genesis. First there was emptiness, then a sound. After sound, disturbance, light was created. Sacred geometry. But what Genesis doesn't tell you, with light, at the same time was created magnetism and electricity. Movement of magnetism creates electricity. So it's not electromagnetism, but magnetoelectrism, if we go step by step. And then the first three-dimensional, this all has no particles in it, but the first particle expression of this in Genesis tells you was water. There were waters. And then God separated waters. Why? Because from waters, it created solids. And we know through Masaru Emoto that you can have water and you just focus and send a thought into water. Let's say, I love you. And then if you flash freeze it and put on a microscope, you will notice that water has crystals. Now these crystals can actually become solids. This is how the metamorphosis occurred. This is how we got solid matter out of the water. First in the form of crystals, salts. This is basic of life. And not only life, basic of creation. So, I'm not religious, but every soyence reveals truth and then shits all over it to smother it with lies. So you have different opinion. You develop different opinion about what truth is and what is not. And this is based on our soyence. You have certain truths, but then it's smothered with so much stupidity and so much lies that whole sciences may create out of it, brainwashing people, and brainwashed doctors become executioners instead of healers. Not knowingly, because nobody bothers to think. And once when they start thinking, it's too late, they're making big money and they don't care. This is why they continue with all these stuffs, knowing that it's harmful and that it doesn't really do what is being claimed they do. So if you have a problem with a parasite in intestine, tapeworm, the best way, get a pulsar, back pulsar, they sell them all over the place, and follow the self-defense protocol, and within a few months, sometimes 1 month, the longest I heard was 3 months, the parasites were out. And you will not only get out tapeworms, you will get out all the parasites, because you are supposed to maintain diarrhea, you eat correctly, so there is no garbage being put in a body, the worms have nothing to eat, and they will leave the body by itself. Plus, the intestine becomes clean, and every morning flush is like a hosing the intestine, and it all comes out, you get clean. So this is a natural way, without any medication, that you can heal yourself. Well, thank you for listening. Until next time, love you all. God bless us.